Egan Bernal is the first South American to win the Tour de France. Hi there, great to have you with us for episode 182 of Plain English, the best podcast for learning English. All the learning resources for this episode can be found at plainenglish.com/182. The producer of the show is JR, I'm Jeff, and you are part of the best audience in the world. On today's program, he trailed for 18 of the 21 stages, but in the 19th stage, 22-year-old Egan Bernal took the lead in the Tour de France on the highest paved route in the Alps. With an assist from Mother Nature, that was all he needed to capture the yellow jersey. Later on in the program, we'll talk about the English phrase to make a push, and I'll have a cycling-related quote for you. Before we do that, I wanted to mention our email list. JR sends out some additional learning resources with each episode, a summary of the topic, links to articles in English about the main topic, and a description of one extra word or phrase from the episode. That all adds up to 104 new words or phrases a year if you stay subscribed for a year, and some of you have been on the list for a year now. To get on there, just visit plainenglish.com/mail. 22-year-old Egan Bernal from the small Colombian town of Zipaquirá is the first Latin American to win the Tour de France and the youngest to do so in 110 years. He trained outside Bogotá and developed his climbing skills in the Andes Mountains. Bernal did not emerge at the head of the pack until late in the race. In the 19th stage out of 21, he saw an opportunity to make a push for the lead on a steep climb up the highest paved route in the Alps. A minute and 30 seconds separated him from the leader at the time, Julian Alaphillippe of France. By the time he reached the peak of the Col de l'Iseran, which is 9,000 feet or 2,700 meters above sea level, he was leading by 45 seconds. The long descent down the mountain would have been Alaphilippe's chance to make up some ground against the Colombian, but an avalanche blocked the path and the race was shortened for the day. By that point, all Bernal had to do was hold his lead for one more competitive stage, which he did, becoming the first Colombian to take the famous yellow jersey home to the Andes. His hometown of Zipaquirá gave him a hero's welcome. The modest Bernal turned down an offer of a parade, opting instead for a festival in the town square. Thousands of people came out to cheer on their national hero, many of them lining up as early as 5 a.m. On stage, Bernal thanked his coach, Fabio Rodriguez, to whom he donated his white jersey, which he won for being the best young rider on the tour. He donated his yellow jersey to the Colombian Cycling Federation. Zipaquirá is the hometown of another famous Colombian cyclist, Efraín Forero, who won the first Vuelta a Colombia bicycle race in 1975. The Tour de France is the world's most prestigious bicycle race and was first organized in 1903. It consists of 21 day-long stages and takes place over 23 days. The tradition is that the leader in every stage wears a yellow jersey for that stage. The yellow jersey can change hands multiple times during the race, but the overall winner takes the yellow jersey home. Bernal wore the yellow jersey for only the final 2 stages, but the final one is the one that counts. The tour route changes every year, and this year's route was 2,162 miles, or 3,480 kilometers, starting in Brussels, extending down the western half of France, crossing the Pyrenees Mountains, and then the Alps on its loop back toward Italy. The final ceremonial stage always features the competitors cycling into central Paris. This year, 176 riders from 22 teams competed. Bernal started riding on a second-hand bike at the age of 5, and soon thereafter began entering races. He began racing mountain bikes, actually, at the age of 14, with dreams of making the Olympics in 2016 as a mountain biker. But he got an offer from a sponsor to switch to road racing, and soon he was on Team Sky, now called Ineos, one of the most prestigious road racing teams in the world. The road to the Tour de France was not easy for Bernal this year. In fact, it's a bit of a miracle that he competed at all. In the past year alone, he fell 3 times and needed surgery on his collarbone, cheekbone, jaw, and nose. In May, during his training for the Giro d'Italia, he had another accident and was unable to move for weeks. That was in May, and the Tour de France started on July 6th. What a competitor, and a good face for the sport of cycling. Cycling, as you know, suffered years in which almost every prominent athlete was implicated in a doping scandal, so much so that any competitor, rightly or wrongly, was immediately suspected of using performance-enhancing drugs. That unfortunate legacy is mostly in the past now. Bernal's teammate and 2018 Tour winner Geraint Thomas said that cycling is one of the cleanest sports around due to strict on-site drug testing during races. If I couldn't move for weeks in May, I would not be on a bike at 9,000 feet above sea level in July. I can tell you that much. Time to say hello to some listeners. First up, 17-year-old Jonathan from Sweden is listening and practicing to improve at school. I think I mentioned this before, but I love hearing from people who are, shall we say, on the edges of the normal age brackets of our typical listeners. I'm so jealous of our younger listeners who are getting such an early start on their second language, and I'm inspired by those who are working on English later in life too. On that point, you might be curious about the average age of our listeners, so I checked Google Analytics for the webpage, and here is what I found. 46% of you are between 25 and 34. Another 23% are between 35 and 44. That's our sweet spot of listeners. But about 10% of you are younger than 25, and 5% are older than 65. But age is just a number, right? And speaking of demographics, the audience is 56% male. Anyway, thanks, Jonathan, for being part of the 10% and representing the younger cohort of listeners. I also want to say hi to Tapas from Kolkata, India, Kitty from Taiwan, and Leonardo from Peru. Leonardo enjoyed the episode on happiness and asked me for one thing that made me happy in the previous day. I told him two things, but one of them was that I think I successfully brought a plant back to life. Sometimes it's the simple things, right? Okay, today's expression is to make a push. You know the word push, right? You push a button. You push open a door. There might be some pushing and shoving on the playground. But that's different from to make a push. What does it mean to make a push? It means to make an extra special effort, usually toward a goal. The Tour de France is 21 days of racing. Those guys are never really relaxing or just pedaling along, enjoying the scenery. Even so, they are regulating their effort. There are times when they try to go faster and times when they are conserving their energy a little bit. They need to strategically direct their effort where it will do them the most good. Some cyclists are strong on flatter ground. Others are good on the descent. Egan Bernal is especially good at climbing. That's why he decided to make a push on the climb up to Col de l'Iseran. He's a good climber, and he saw his opportunity to make a push and take the lead, which he did. Your favorite sports team might make a push to sign a star player. In that case, the special effort is not on the field, but off the field. What might a team do to make a push to sign a star player? They might invite him or her to tour the team's facilities. They might encourage players on the team to reach out and introduce themselves. Talk a little bit about how nice it is to play on that team. They might help the player figure out where he and his family might live. And of course, they might sweeten their offer a little bit too. Offer a little extra money in one last push. That is what teams do when they want to make one last push to sign a star athlete. One last special effort. What do package delivery services do at Christmas time in the Western world and on Singles Day in China? They make a push to get the huge volume of packages to their customers on time. Yeah, they try and they do a good job year-round, but they make a push at the holidays because it's a special effort during the biggest gift-giving time of the year. If you're releasing a new product, you might make a push for publicity right when the product is released. Sometimes at work, if we've got a big project, we decide to make a push one day, or often night, to make a lot of progress all at once. Sometimes if you make a push, a special effort in one burst, it gives you the momentum you need to reach a goal. Time for the quote of the week. It's a cycling quote from former pro cyclist Chris Boardman. The quote has to do with the Tour de France, and here is what he says. Quote, "There simply is nothing else like it. And as a test of physical and mental endurance, it has no equal. It's the only race in the world where you have to get a haircut halfway through." Mental and physical endurance is right. I don't know how they keep their focus, keep their intensity over a 3-week race. And these are not short days either. So here's the quote once more, the last part of it. The only race in the world where you have to get a haircut halfway through. I like that. Okay, that's all for today. Remember, as I mentioned on Thursday, if you use and if you like the translations on the website, please, please, please sign up for our email list. There are some changes coming, and I want you, my listeners right now, to continue to enjoy those translations uninterrupted. So please sign up for our email list so we can give you all the news you need to know. Plainenglish.com/mail, M-A-I-L. Nothing to worry about, but you will want to be on that email list as soon as possible. So please just take a minute and join us at plainenglish.com/mail, M-A-I-L. Thanks once again for being with us. Thanks for all your notes. You really are the best audience in the world. That is really the truth. We'll be right back here together on Thursday. See you then. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then you'll love Plain English Plus. That's because with Plain English Plus, you can get even more from your favorite English podcast. We offer video lessons, flashcards, 2 versions of every episode, and of course, our famous online transcripts with translations into 7 languages. What are you waiting for? Come join us at plainenglish.com/plus.